This is the award-winning real estate recruitment company Madison Berkeley's Empower Equity Campaign Reverse Mentoring Sessions. We are supported by the industry networking organisation Ladies in Real Estate. This week, each day, we will publish a session involving a junior female in the industry, reverse mentoring a senior female in our industry. The aim of the Empower Equity campaign is to address the issue of female retention within our industry. Historically, the representation of women has been very low in real estate, running at around 13% for quite a few years. The good news is that figure has gone up dramatically, and the work being done around EDI is starting to pay off. However, the latest figures from the Real Estate Balance Industry Survey 2022, which was released in February, found that at board level within the sector, female representation in our industry is running at 29%, and at senior and leadership level is just 27%. This backs up the problems that we hear surrounding retention. Each female partnership in these Empower Equity campaign sessions will aim to start conversations surrounding the issues causing this lack of retention. And the hope is that by opening these discussions, change may be effected and more females will remain in our industry at senior and leadership level. Now it's time to hand over to the junior female and senior female taking part in today's session. I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hello, so my name's Reah and I am currently a qualified chartered surveyor working at JLL, and I'm working within our asset management team.
Hello, I'm Vasiliki. I head the asset management team at Derwent London. I've been with Derwent London for about 4 years, but I've worked in the industry for 23 years in London.
Thank you, Vasiliki, for being here and agreeing to allow me to question you. So I have created a few different topics that I thought are very important in relation to ED&I and would be really interested just to hear your thoughts and hear your opinions. So I'll kick off with the first theme, which is barriers to entry. So this is obviously quite a big topic at the moment, and there's a lot of talk about surveying it being sort of a secret or hidden sector that not many people know of and sort of end up falling into. So one of my first questions, just to learn a bit more about your background, is how did you discover the industry and what was your path and your journey into surveying?
It's a very good question. You know, as you just described, very much fell into the industry through people I knew who worked in the industry and kind of family members, etc. But actually, I am originally from Greece, and that's where I came across real estate industry. But then I decided to, rather than work in Greece, to do my master's degree in the UK with the aim of staying here, because I thought at the time, and it was the right decision for me, that the market here is it's got more opportunities for me to offer in terms of career and kind of experience, etc. So I stayed here and I qualified here. I worked for an agency at the time.
Okay, that's really, really interesting to know. Did you sort of know about real estate, prior to joining the industry?
So it's very, very different. So the market, the Greek market and the UK market was very different. And what I did not anticipate actually how hard it would be for me to actually find a job in this industry. It was not easy, despite the fact I actually did have the right degree and the right qualifications. But being foreign, a woman with zero connections, it was actually pretty challenging. But, perseverance. I did have the opportunity and I did get a graduate job, probably one of the last people in my year at my university course, but I did manage it, which is amazing.
Well, congratulations, and that's really inspiring, obviously, to hear, being a younger surveyor myself. And I'd just be interested to know sort of what ways do you think that we can potentially remove, barriers to entry and make the industry more attractive and appealing to others, and obviously create more awareness in ways that maybe we aren't doing as much of now?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's one I'm actually kind of thinking and spending quite a bit of time on, as I sit on the D&I committee at Derwent, and it's an area we're looking at, and we're actually talking to our directors about it and our non-exec directors as well. It's not straightforward, I don't believe. I think the industry has an image issue, I think, from past years of of how it's been perceived in terms of being very male, white dominated. It has absolutely changed in my 23 years of experience, but it still has an image issue because it requires specific qualifications and quite technical skills. You know, the whole kind of route through specific degrees, qualifications, RICS, I think it does restrict and makes it quite challenging for people to come into it. But there's been good kind of progress in that. I think more and more people go through the apprenticeship sort of role where you come in and you go into work and then study in parallel, for example. That is a very kind of different and more open way of doing it. I think there is a need to go out to sort of schools and universities and work together with the employers, sort of the big agencies or the bigger kind of landlords in the industry, and create a bit more of a better image, really, and reach out to people and show the diversity of roles and type of jobs that this industry offers. And it is incredible, and it has so much to offer. So there's a couple of thoughts, really.
Great. No, those are some really good ideas. Thank you for sharing those. And I'm sure that people listening can definitely take note and try to implement them within their own roles and their own firms. But you did touch on the industry being very male and white dominated, which I think is something that people, if you're in surveying, you will definitely be able to confirm that. So that leads me on to my next set of questioning on sort of like gender diversity. Being a woman and working in the industry, you said for 23 years, how, have you experienced, you personally, would you say, any sort of setbacks or ever felt any imposter syndrome in your role? How have you been able to manage that?
Yeah, yes, and I have in the past, and I still do. And from my discussions with other females in the industry, I think they have similar experiences. It's definitely better than it used to be. I think one of the key things that I was lucky to identify from sort of when I was more junior was to identify and work with allies in the industry. And they were of, different seniority, male and female. And there were people that supported me, advised me well, and I was able to have an open and honest kind of relationship and discussion with. And it was key in terms of identifying those issues and dealing with them. I had my own sort of little champions and allies supporting me through that.
That's really helpful. And so would you promote sort of like mentorship within the industry, I guess, for younger surveyors? If you are a younger surveyor and you're listening to this and you're sort of looking for someone that you can look up to in the industry and someone that you can relate to, how best can we go about finding mentors? What would be your recommendations around that? And how has it helped you?
It did help me. And my approach was always either find people who in the company that I work with, but also external people as well. So from different companies, and actually sometimes even from different industries through other connections, etc. Because, there's different point of views, and when people do things or approach things differently, that we can learn from and get inspired from as well. So I would not hold back and ask, be clear about what you're asking for and what commitment you're looking from people when you're asking for their support, so they know. Be ready for rejection as well, but you don't ask, you don't get. Don't hold back and approach people that you think would be helpful and communicate what you need from them, what support you need from them.
And what changes would you say that you've seen over the past 23 years in your career in terms of a gender, surveying become a more gender balanced sector?
I believe that the change has come through appreciation of the, better culture that a business can have with more diversity, kind of more productive teams, being valued for contribution, for what you do rather than who you are. And, diversity brings so much positive and a different point of view, more creative. I currently mainly focus on the office sector. I was in the retail sector. And what was incredible when I did that was most of our agents the people who managed the shopping centres were largely male, while our shoppers were, by a large percentage dominated by women. And people realised that, there is a benefit in having people looking after and making decisions around, say, a shopping centre or a retail tenant mix from people who are actually more close and understand the shoppers better. So there were small things like that actually that slowly but surely have brought change.
I think that diversity is a wider topic than just obviously gender diversity. Now we talk about, you know, neurodiversity and ethnic diversity, and there's various different elements to it. But focusing on ethnic diversity just a bit more, I think that is also a big problem in the real estate sector in general, and what I've started to see personally within sort of like my firm and a few other similar firms is we seem to be bringing people in at more junior levels. So as you mentioned before, apprentices and especially at graduate levels, and what we started to notice is that they start to sort of like drop off as they move up the ranks, and you know, there's not a lot of ethnic diversity in more senior sort of like senior director positions. So why do you think that might be, and what can we try and do to make sure that we're retaining talent?
It's an excellent question. I can tell you what I think, but I would also like to ask you after what your thoughts are, because it'd be very interesting to know what you think.
Of course, yeah.
I think that where we are currently, for an industry that's been, you know, largely dominated by white males, to get to that senior position, you've got quite a narrow pool of people in terms of diversity, because it comes from a very specific path. You've got, you know, your experience, technical knowledge, within the industry. They're not all transferable skills from different industries. It's kept the pool quite narrow, I would say. So the solution to that would be to be brave and open up senior roles to people that don't have that background and experience, and try and bring people in from different industries, and accept that you just have to educate, support and inform and work with, and, you know, put that time and effort in, because otherwise it's not going to happen. If we just expect people to, you know, grow through the ranks, it will take a long time, and actually retention is difficult when you don't have representation, because when people can't see people who look like them at senior positions, it restricts the ambition, and it might make it hard for them to believe they can get there. So it'd be hard to retain in the same way as when you have people who, you know, are representing a different type of person, for the industry different.
No, I agree. I think that one of the big things that I can definitely see within the industry is that there doesn't seem to be sometimes much inclusivity. So, you know, we've got we're a very sociable bunch, us surveyors, and, you know, a large part of the culture is meeting up with other agents and other surveyors and going for drinks and being out in bars, and they've got quite a big drinking culture, and you can already see that that is maybe one area where that's not very inclusive. Someone who doesn't drink, for example. So I guess my question is, what can we do to make sure that we're making people feel that they are included? So they're coming in at these junior levels, but that they are included, and that, you know, they can work their way up. Is there anything that you guys are implementing, or any organizations that you're working with to try and improve?
Yeah. We're doing a lot. We've got a long way to go, but we are doing a lot. I think on the specific point is a very good point, because traditionally, networking has been very much around pub and drinking, etc. We've got a social committee in the business, and they organize, and that's part of our diversity plan. They organize events that are of different kind. They take place at different times, so they're not always after work. They can be in the morning, they can be at lunchtime. So it gives opportunity for people who can't necessarily, or don't have the flexibility to stay beyond their working hours. Yeah, and they come in different shapes and forms, from crafts and activities to film night to games. I think it's giving opportunity for people to network within the business, but in different ways, so that it is more inclusive. It's a small action, but actually it matters and it's important. So that's one of the small things we're trying to do.
That's really, really good to see. And we're doing similar things here at JLL, and hosting and holding regular sort of annual change events, which is our D&I network, and, you know, just trying to speak about things more, because I think that that's one of the things that's improved quite a bit, is now we're talking about these things, and it's not such a hush, you know, topic, and that is helping to bring awareness again, which is really good.
The other thing, obviously, and the very important things that we're doing, is we're looking at recruitment processes and how inclusive they are. We're looking at how we write our job roles, and whether we subconsciously exclude people by the way we advertise a role, for example. In recent couple of years, when I've been recruiting in my team, we removed the need for the RICS qualification. We would like someone with experience, but they don't have to be specifically RICS qualified, for example, because that kind of immediately narrows down your pool of people that can apply to it. So, and we're trying to do things like that help us bring that change in and widen the pool of people that can come and apply for roles. You know, I think for the first time we hired in a senior role a person who came in part-time. You know, normally these jobs are full-time. You know, we didn't think that would be an issue. We got the right person for the role, and that was absolutely fine. I mean, recruitment is a big thing, but also career progression internally is a big thing that we're focusing on, making sure that everyone has the same opportunity in terms of training, in terms of experience working with senior teams. We're looking at it in all these ways.
Great, that's really good to hear that, you know, Derwent are taking such an active, proactive approach to the issue. Moving on to another topic that I wasn't going to ask about, but just on children, because, you know, being a woman, it's something that, you know, some women do, some women don't, but it's something that a lot of women have to think about when starting their career, and as you get to a certain stage in your career, whether or not you'll have children and how it will impact your career. So it'd just be interesting to know how, you know, you said you had one child, and how that has affected your career journey so far, and how have Derwent helped to support you through that journey?
So yeah, my son is 15 years old, so I had him at a relatively early stage of my career, but not that early, but early enough. I took nearly a year off and then came back 4 days a week, which my employer at the time was very accommodating. I was actually very lucky at the time to be at a business that were happy to accommodate and support me in that. I think things are slightly changing for the best in that when we talk about people having children, it's not just women having children, men also have children. And parental leave is a brilliant kind of progress that we're making, because we can now share that leave. I didn't have that choice at the time, so I was the one who kind of had to take, whether I liked it or not. That was for me to do. My husband, or, you know, if somebody had a partner, wouldn't be able to do that. But now we in a lot of places we can, and I think that's fantastic, because it kind of levels the playing field, and the risk when a business is looking at their employees, the risk of a parent taking parental leave should be kind of on par. So you're not subconsciously making decisions on people on the basis of, oh, what will happen if they go away on their, you know, maternity or paternity leave. So I think we're getting better at that, if I'm honest. I think the flexibility, particularly post-COVID, of people being able to work from home more, I think that's helpful. So I think I've seen quite a lot of progress in this area personally. Now I'm sure other people have different experiences depending on where they were when they came back or went away on maternity leave, etc.
That's good to know that things are changing for the better. I think being a younger woman myself, it's something that I'm starting to think about now. It's quite scary. I often think to myself, you know, work is so busy at the moment. I've got such a hectic sort of role working within asset management, as you probably do also. How will I be able to manage and balance it all? And what sort of advice could you maybe give to a younger woman that's looking to start a family one day, have children, also working in the industry, and has quite a busy and very active role, and how to sort of achieve, you know, some sort of a balance across the board?
I think there's always something that's suffering, but you just rotate it.
Okay.
I think the idea that we could do everything perfectly is a false idea, and we should not be aiming for it.
Yeah.
Because we'll be disappointed. But I think I always say to people, it takes a village and it's true. It's having the right support, whether it's at work, at home, or with your friends. So it's not thinking you should be doing this alone. And that is my only advice.
That's been really great. Thank you so much, Vasiliki. And maybe to round up, one of my concluding questions is, during your time, obviously working within real estate career, who have you got one person maybe that you've really looked towards, it's been a really standout sort of role model to you? And also, what was some of the best piece of career advice that you've had, maybe that you can share with others?
Good questions. So in terms of role model, actually, I worked for Hammerson, and there was my manager at the time. She was a proper ally. She was a really supportive, like wonderful manager. I don't know whether she ever realized how much she shaped my style in terms of management, because I really admired the way she approached. She was very coaching, supportive, worked really hard, but was always there for me. And she was, when I came back from maternity, she really kind of looked after me and made sure I came back and, you know, coped and dealt with everything. So yeah, so Shirley Lever, bless her, she's retired now, but she's yeah, incredible person, very supportive, good ally. And what was your other question? What advice I've received?
Has there been any piece of standout, career advice that you've received over the years that's really stuck with you that you'd like to share, or just any advice yourself that you just think is really important that you'd like to share with others?
It's not necessarily advice, it's a change of approach. When I was younger, I very much kind of hoped that my work would always speak for itself when it came to progression and career and promotions, or being put forward for various things. And I think after a few years, I realized that actually you really have to ask for things and push for things, and not to wait until I felt 100% ready for things. And just ask, go for it, and try and ask for help on the way, rather than to sit back and wait to be asked.
Amazing. That's really good to know. That's really helpful, actually. Thank you so much.
That's okay. It's been really good talking to you.
You too, definitely.
Thank you both for taking part in Empower Equity reverse mentoring sessions. Please do share the sessions with all of your networks. The more we open up the conversation of female retention, the more likely we will see change. The Madison Berkeley Empower Equity campaign reverse mentoring sessions are supported by industry network organisation Ladies in Real Estate.